Welcome to the Remodeler Success Podcast, a show created to inspire kitchen and bath industry professionals to achieve optimal success in their remodeling business. Your host, Dennis Oz, is the author of the book, Remodel Your Digital Marketing, an integrated online marketing guide for kitchen and bath remodelers. He's also the founder of RTA Marketing, a pioneer digital marketing agency for the remodeling industry. On each episode, Dennis will sit down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they learned, and how to find success in remodeling.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Remodeler Success Podcast, where we dive into the stories behind today's most successful business leaders. So today's guest started with a really clear vision over a decade ago and built it into a really thriving business that's now really recognized nationally for both its growth and also specialization. So it's a really niche business. We're going to talk about it. It's a really special business. And he just took a focused idea, basements only, and turned into a really powerful brand serving across like homeowners across the Maryland and also Virginia and Washington DC and let's say Northern Virginia area. Along the way, yeah, he has proven how a niche done right can scale into millions in revenue and a trusted name in remodeling. So please welcome the founder and CEO of basementremodeling.com, Pavel Abaev. Pavel, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dennis. Thanks a lot for having me.
Oh yeah, Pavel. Before we dive into our questions, we have really good questions for him, folks. Just stick around. Could you please introduce yourself a little bit?
So my name is Pavel. I was originally born in Russia and then I moved to America in 2006. And pretty much, I remember I arrived to New York on July 3rd of 2006. July 4th, I was in Philadelphia. Obviously, I remember that day, and then July 5th, I actually went, my friends were in Philly for like about a month already. They already found a job and they just took me to work for their roofing for someone they knew, like they called the roofing company, and I ended up on the roof 2 days after I arrived in America, and it's July 5th in Philadelphia, which is like 100 degrees and the humidity at like 90%, and like for someone who has never experienced anything like that, I was shocked.
Yeah.
That's after a week on the roof, I knew that I'm not doing roofing.
Yeah. Well, interesting
Yeah.
story, huh?
Yeah.
Welcome to the show again. Let me, ask you my first question here.
Yeah.
Well, we see that, you scaled an amazing business here. Just wanted to talk about it a little bit. We know that the scaling business across like different states and also different disciplines with brands and warehouses takes really serious systems. You can't do that by your own. And but everybody has this one man show type of moment. So what were the most important moves that you really made to get beyond that one man show?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, just like a lot of people in the industry, we start out like, from being a helper, we're learning the trade, and then, we start doing bathrooms, we start doing kitchens, we start doing additions, we start doing basements. But, I just realized, probably like, 3-4 years into it, like, that specialization is pretty much, probably like, that's the first step you have to make, because if you're trying to, do everything, it's just like everything is just kind of gets locked in on yourself and your knowledge, because you have to know everything about the bathroom, you have to know everything about this, you have to know everything about that, and the process, even though it seems like it's remodeling, but the process for flooring installation, in a 5,000 square feet home is very different from a process of remodeling a $40,000 bathroom in a master bathroom in a $4 million house. And it's also a very different process from remodeling a kitchen in one of the suburban neighborhoods with a lot of check homes. So it's extremely, and when you don't have a repeatable process, it's extremely hard to build those systems and build the automations. So step one was finding the niche. The reason why I picked basements is because it's not a secret in our industry. Everyone knows that basements is like it's pretty much the most desirable project that there can be. You don't have to be outside. You're not like weather dependent, because I mean, additions can be expensive, but at the same time, you're weather dependent, and they can be, a lot more complex. It's a lot more complicated in terms of permits. You can do master bathrooms. The ticket is high, but spending 4 weeks, 2 weeks in someone's master bedroom is a lot more challenging for the project managers, for the team involved, and it's a lot more challenging to have somebody. It's a lot more challenging for the homeowners to have someone at their home for 2 to 3 weeks, especially their master bedroom. Same with the kitchens. Like families are a lot more affected by the kitchens. So if you look at it, like I did know that I do like kind of a general contracting type of approach, meaning like just the project management type of process versus like roofing, windows, and siding, which is like another scalable type of home improvement businesses. So I knew I want to do something larger. I knew I want to do something that entails more design work and more creativity. So it's just like it's an answer. Everyone that come to, like, I mean, everyone wants basements. I mean, that's all I can tell you.
Right. Well, this is great. Thanks so much for sharing this. Let's dive a little bit deeper. So we know that now basementremodeling.com is really a focused brand, and it's really have a really clear niche. And I believe that clarity is a really big advantage. What made you decide to specialize in basement? I know that you talk about that, having not being jack of all trades, but let's focus more on how being a specified business for basement help you grow.
Yeah, absolutely. So we selected the niche, and we started building out the systems. I mean, like I started out just building everything out myself using tools like Zapier. You might have heard, just like a basic automations. Obviously, I'm not talking about the marketing and the SEO, and that's everyone has to do this, right? It's like everyone has to do this to get the jobs. But in
We'll
terms
talk
of like,
about that, by the way, Pavel, because yes, I have some marketing questions for you, folks. Just stick around, because yes, we are talking about like automations and also marketing automation. It's coming up next. Just not to cut you off, but just want to give everyone a heads up that they can stick till the end to hear about what you're talking about marketing. Yeah, please go ahead. Sorry about that.
So yes, so pretty much, I started out building out. I started by building out automations, and I basically identified the repeatable processes, and just started looking for ways to basically scale a business. And in reality, scaling any business comes down to the same process. You have to start building automations. So at first couple of years I was doing it myself. Then like about maybe around 2020. Right around 2020, we had a software engineer like joined our company, which basically, that's when we really took off. And in reality, I'll just, put some numbers out there. In our industry, I would say 90% of the companies, they stock at $5 million or less. Okay. You get to, and I remember myself, I get to 4.5 million, and I was there for like, I was there for 3 or 4 years, and like, you just like, I mean, there is just no way out, because you have to go sell. You have to go sell. You have to go. So just you don't have time. So that's basically when you realize, okay, looks like I can probably get more jobs, but I do not have like I cannot duplicate Pavels. So I have to find the ways how to give out those tasks that I'm doing myself to different people, but just hiring somebody and just telling them, okay, you're gonna go sell basements, it's not gonna work. So it all started with the basic Excel table, with just a basic formula calculations that then became like a brochure, and then that became an app. And right now, like whatever takes our competitors, if you talk about the sales process, whatever takes our competitors anywhere between 30 minutes and 2 hours, takes our sales people between 5 and 10 minutes, 10 minutes at the most. I mean, $200,000-300,000 proposal they can put together. Okay, all right. $200,000 to $300,000 proposal is very custom, basement, probably with some structural work underpinning. But let's say $150,000 proposal that just utilizes standard things that people do in their basements. Everything from egress window, bedroom, even the basement walkout, adding a door, having a nice wet bar, even having a movie theater, a platform. All of that stuff, we have all this course built into our app. They are basically priced for the market, and just building out the app, automating the sales process. Then you begin to think, okay, I have somebody who does the sales. I actually, like, now if I want to grow further, I can only manage this many projects by myself, but also if I manage projects, I cannot really concentrate on marketing. So you start thinking about, like, okay, how I can automate the production process, and then we started automating production process, like everything from sending out the emails, scheduling jobs. There are like over 180,000 operations happening in our automation system monthly. So if you divide it, it's maybe not. Let me just correct myself. I think it's about 120. It's 120,000 operations monthly, divided into 30. It's 40,000 operations. And when I say an operation, it's basic things. Generate the email, send an email, pick up the date. That's going to be like five operations right there. But basically, yes, that's what it is.
You don't need to hire anyone. So that's
listen, with AI agents coming into play, we just had a meeting. Like, our project managers will have to email. They're going to cut down the time they email by 90%. Okay, we have a senior project manager role that is basically in charge of sitting down every night and putting a schedule for our crews. This is going to be like, this task is going to be gone with, like, we are building a custom app that will basically take the data about the projects, take the data about our crews, and take the data about the tests, put it all together. Like, this is something that this is like pretty much the most complex task of the company. But anyways, I talk too much.
Yeah, no, this is great. You're just talking about so many great things, because especially the automations, that is a subject that we never covered in the show. But folks,
I can talk about it for hours.
This is amazing. So we have a hidden gem here, folks, definitely. So just stick around. I'm so excited. But I would like to just kind of roll back to the beginning of the building a company. Yes, automations will come a little later, but let's say you would like to hire and create your team, right? Here, hiring could be your biggest strength, or it could be your biggest bottleneck. So
absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, what's really worked for you when it comes to building that reliable crews and support staff?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And actually, when you started saying that, like, before even when you started saying before the automations, before I was going to say, obviously it's finding the right people. Absolutely, 100%. This is like, all I can say, if you are a business owner, you have to be, and you're trying to grow business, you have to be a leader. Okay. And in terms of how I became a good leader, I guess maybe I did have some soft skills, but I started reading. I just started reading, and the thing is, I might have been reading, I might have not been, like, necessarily, okay, wow, I did not know how to do this, but now I know how to do this. I was actually reading and learning about myself, and I was learning about my strength, and just like, so, first, like, it all started with self-development, right? And then another thing is consistency. So you have to be prepared. And that's like, I hear most of, like, because I have a lot of interviews with, like, when I hire people for project manager roles, for VP of production role, for sales manager role. These are all the people who basically, these are all those guys. A lot of them are all those guys who basically were at $2, $3, $4 million a year, and they just got burnt out. They like, I can't do this anymore. Okay. And they all complain about the same thing. They all say, like, before they, those who got to 5 million, probably they do have a team, but those, like, who complain about, like, those who stuck at $1 million or so, let's say, they complain about, like, I can't find help. But the key here is that the consistency. And believing in yourself, because if you think that, like, if you think that I just, like, hired somebody and this person became my first employee, and then hired somebody, he became my second employee. No, it's absolutely not like this. People come in. In the end, like, it's 10% of the people you basically try out who that end up sticking around for more than 2 years. And in reality, what I've learned, those who stick around for a year, like, it means that they do have the personality, and it means that we have the culture of our company matching their professional culture. So that's when we start to actually, like, okay, yeah, this person's actually good. But in reality, like I said, like, majority of the people we tried, they do not last that first year. So, just to everyone out there, you just have to keep on trying, and you have to keep on trying and trying and trying and trying. And, it's just 1 out of 10. And like you always, I mean, now I know now I know like my formula. Like if I'm looking for a project manager, I have to, interview 50. I have to do second round interview, at the office with like, 4 or 5. I have to hire one. And then I have to do it like 3 or 4 times to find somebody who's going to be a really damn good. And that applies to a lot of positions within the company. Obviously, finding people to be a helper for a construction crew is easier because, they are reliable, they're handy, they're smart, and they don't have like, any bad habits. They're good to go. But even with help, it's hard. Even like, with crew leaders, with lead carpenters, you just have to keep on trying. You just have to
Wow.
keep on trying. And obviously, I mean, using systems, using tools, AI is great right now. Just, generate me a list of questions to ask this lead carpenter. And then like, okay, I had an interview with him. Like, these are my concerns. Tell me, what should I do? And like, I mean, I mean, right
I
now,
love it.
just like everything is so easy, so much easier. But yes, absolutely. Hiring is challenging. It was challenging for me. It is challenging for us. But I always say this is my strongest skill. That's why, we are who we are. Because
This is
I
great.
absolutely love every person who work for our company. I mean, everyone is just outstanding.
This is a great culture that you build around your brand. And I'm sure creating great brands like this, like basementremodeling.com, is just not like just basically hiring and firing. Of course, just like you explained, there are a thought process behind it. And thanks so much for just mapping that out for us. That's really great to hear. Now let's talk about a little bit of operations and operational management, right? How do you start when we, there's, of course, we talk about marketing, we talk about lead generation. I'm not talking about the leads, but I would like to talk about the people who just really say, yes, let's start, and give you a deposit or something like that. Then what happens? What tools do you use, and how you just really handle that enormous type of projects at the same day?
Okay, so Dennis, let me ask you this. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, all right. So basically, yeah, we within our company we kind of split operations and production. So I think what we mean by operation is basically making sure that all of those 20 vans that are on the road and they are in a great condition and everything, right? So that's a whole separate, like, we have an operations director who is kind of in charge for it. What you are asking about production, basically, making sure that the team knows what they do, where to
Exactly. This
go,
is what I'm
etc.
asking. This is what
Yeah,
I'm asking.
exactly,
Yes, this is what I'm
exactly,
asking. Yes.
exactly. So yes, exactly about the yes. So I mean, obviously, it all starts with the project managers. Okay, it all starts with the right tools to put the plan together, right? So it all starts with the fact that you have clear contract and clear scope from the salesperson, right? Then it goes into our scheduling software, and just preparing the Gantt chart and lining up the subcontractors, and so I mean, obviously, this is actually one of the things that we are working on automating right now. It's a lot of, I say manual work. When I say manual work, it means like you have to actually sit down and type in, that the messages who goes where. But scheduling tools like Builder Trend to help us schedule the subcontractors. Obviously, Slack. Just or every single project and all the information about all the projects lives in Slack. It's a messenger for those who doesn't know, and like we cannot imagine our life without it. Obviously, everything's automated. The sales submitted. The schedule has been the project has been scheduled. We automatically create like cloud folders. We automatically create schedule channels. We automatically invite all of the team members to the proper Slack channels. Our permits and operations person automatically gets an invite to start working on the permits. So once again, I mean, it all comes down to it all comes down to all of those links that you have to build out there in the cloud, to make sure that like you have an a process that never breaks from the point when the salesperson got the lead. So that's it. So we have a file created in our internal system, and that file basically we just keep on expanding and growing this file as we go through the process, as we go through the project, and we don't close this. We do not like move this file, this lead that became a project until they leave a good review and until we get the final payment. So but just like proper communication tools and once again, it's proper automations. That's how you make sure that they know where to go, and obviously just mentorship and training. In the end, we work with humans, and that's one thing I'm kind of like excited about with all of these jobs that are being replaced with AI. What I know is that none of my guys out there who are driving the van right now, who's going out there and basically trying to explain the client that this is this is how it's supposed to be, or that is basically just repainting the wall for this client third time just because she thinks it looks different at our showroom versus how it looks in her bedroom. Those guys, like, they're gonna have a job for like at least until the way we build houses change, and I don't think it's coming because they still build homes today the same day they're building them 50 years ago, and the homes they build today, they're gonna need to remodel their kitchens, bathrooms, floors over the next 50 years. So
Right. Well, this is an amazing point. When you say, by the way, for those who's just tuning in today, Pavel mentioned that tools called Slack. Folks, Slack is being used for developing teams, software developing teams. And as you see right now, you're seeing that is a remodeling company is using this. How is that at this use this one, right? And yeah, this is a great, I would say, an application of, like, at least for those who's just using like phone group messages or WhatsApp chat groups or whatever. When you do that on Slack, folks, everything is recorded. And when I say recorded, you have transcribed it because you are sharing information. And hey, when you have a month of text messages about your company, you can easily understand who's the best bottleneck is. AI can easily understand that. So this is what Pavel really clearly just explained us, and thank you so much about this, Pavel. I'm sure that is a really eye-opening moment for almost all our speakers who are just listening here today. And I'm sorry, look, this conversation is really excited already. So really, this is an excited conversation already. Let's take to the conversation to marketing, Pavel. And we know that basementremodeling.com, you didn't scale this company with word of mouth. What did you do?
um focus and the name. I guess that's like I came across the domain name like back in 2016 or 17. They were selling it at that time for like I think $40,000. We were negotiating for about and you have to understand 2016 2017, Pavel, is not the same. $40,000 was a huge amount of money for me. So we were negotiating for about 6 months. I negotiated it down to $19,000. We bought the domain name, and basically it just made it a lot easier to promote the brand and promote because basement remodeling, and Google is smart. For example, for Google, basement finishing and basement remodeling is the same thing. So obviously getting the name, but obviously things like SEO, it's so standard, just building out a lot of local landings, building out Google Maps presence. To be honest with you, in terms of marketing automation, just because we are such a narrow niche, and you have to understand, we are selling over $10 million a year by meeting or only 300 clients. So basically our closing ratio is about one out of three. So we meet like 360 clients. We sell about 110 so jobs, and the average job is about $90,000. So we are so it's not like we are getting tens of thousands of leads where we actually need like a lot of automations. And for example, I'll be honest with you, it's just our industry. If you were in roofing and if you were in roofing and siding and windows, if you were basically in a high volume, low ticket, I could talk to you a lot about automations. But honestly, I could talk to you about a lot about marketing automations. But at the same time, we do have some base level automation. So basically, when somebody goes on the website, they fill out the form. Like I said, they end up in our custom built CRM. Actually, I'm saying we have no automations. Actually, they automatically being added to our email list. They automatically being added to our text messaging list. and then yes, once we got your email and you accepted the terms, we're going to be sending you emails for the next 5 years. Obviously, the frequency goes down, and for the fifth year, you're only going to get 2 of them a year. But it's just basics of email marketing. But So basically, helping our salespeople process the leads, building out a custom CRM, and just processing those leads, and just having this in your head, and just efficiently following up with them. But I'll be honest with you, once again, it's a high ticket, relationship based sale, brand based sale in many cases. So as much as we want to automate, and as much as we try to automate. Um, I mean, like it all comes down to like meeting a person, and the best marketing is basically having that meeting where our salesperson talks about our company and present our materials and present our proposal that looks more detailed, and I mean more detailed than basically any other proposal for the basement project in the country. I mean, I'll be honest with you, like I was like, we had someone who said like, hey, like we got this company's proposal and it was $10,000 less. Can you send it to us? I mean, like, and be like, can you send it to us? Take a look. Our proposal is 10 pages long, outlining every single detail. Okay, their proposal is how many? How long do you think it is? It's 10 lines long. 10 lines. Frame out the basement, finish drywall, install bathroom, provide bathroom fixtures, install wet bar. I mean, like, how are you gonna? So, but I'm getting off topic. Marketing and branding. I mean, like, marketing and branding, basically just pushing the same narrative. Basement finishing, basement remodeling, just keep on coming back. For example, like as a CEO, I concentrate on marketing for a year. I can let it go for 6 months. Then I have to dive deep in. And speaking of people, I'm still like in the process of finding that right VP of marketing person. We do have a great digital marketing person in house, but marketing is it's also, I mean, obviously it's also one of the keys to scaling from 1 to 5, from 5 to 10.
Amazing, and thank you so much. When you look at the marketing overall, do you have like an internal marketing team, or do you work with an agency, or do you have any kind of an approach to that problem? How do you solve it?
So, like I said, right now we have our in-house digital marketing specialist who is basically an SEO genius who's been doing this for years, and like we just do a lot of in-house brainstorming. At the same time, all of the tech SEO and all of kind of like a lot of manual labor involving SEO, meaning like writing articles, updating the website. We do have an SEO marketing agency. And we are trying different people. So here's like what I've learned over the years, right? So finding the agency that does everything is never really a good thing. I mean, like you may hit it off, but if you hit it off, it means they're going to be so expensive just because they're overhead. To have the best of the best SEO guys, to have the best of the best meta ads guys, to have the best of the best because those environments are changing so fast. If you want to be good at meta ads, you cannot lose the focus. You have to do it every day, and you have to learn about the tools. And especially right now with AI, I mean, it's crazy, but all of those things are available out there. People talk about AI agents. We scroll our Instagram and we see all this stuff. In our industry, 95% of the companies not using any of that. It is kind of crazy. But yes, I believe in specialization, even when it comes to hiring, finding vendors, whether it's marketing or construction. So specialized SEO agencies, ideally, I like when we actually talk to the guy at least once, like the company that hasn't grown too much, where I actually talk to the guy who started it himself, who might be just like a senior PM or just an overlooking. But if I can have the guy who is in charge, or the guys who are in charge on the call, on every call, that's ideal to me. That's the key. That I always keep those guys around. If you hire, if you hired an agency who's basically a one-man operations, and he's throwing you at his admin stuff right away, or not the admin, I'm sorry, to his assistant, who's basically can't answer the questions, who's out there just collecting the questions or whatever, just run. If it's a one-man operation, 2-3 guys, and you are actually not talking to the owner you're not having a conversation with this, with a leader of a 3-people team, run away from this company. They will never grow because he doesn't want to take the focus. He doesn't want to take care of his clients. So, that's one recommendation I would definitely give. And obviously, and once again, I talk about our size companies. If you are a $200 million, whatever, like a bank or something, obviously you cannot work with the companies like this. That's when you go to those best of the best who can marketing agencies who work with budgets of $100 to $300,000 a month. But right now we speak to the people from our industry, and I'm talking about the approach we are using. And that's all I'm trying to say, just giving advice to those who basically in the same position as us right now, or and in reality, in terms of marketing, the approaches hasn't changed. 3, 4, 5 years ago, it's just right now it's all more social media oriented, and you can do a lot of AI tools. But it's funny, the only thing I have to add here is that when we just started seeing those fun ads that are trying to basically, that are built off of the TikTok trends. They were fun, but it's funny. I've noticing even over the past few months, I mean, just every single company kind of at first when you see this funny video and then oh wow, it actually talks about the brand, it was cool. But right now it's a lot of companies actually taking a grasp on it. So you constantly have to you have to constantly just evolve, and same should be your marketing vendors. Same should be should do the people you do your marketing with. Just it just changes so quickly right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. It's changing. And, even your marketing, I really like your approach because you also created a niche just for basement remodeling. You're also saying that like a company that is focusing just for SEO, just for meta ads.
Small company.
Yeah.
If it's a small company, yes, I think they should focus, because that's how they. I
Mm.
mean, there is a book by, I don't remember the author. It's called The One Thing. I mean, they have a laser focus. That's how they. So it's very simple, because they have a laser focus. They just by default know more, and the 30 minutes of their time, talking about SEO will be, I mean, you got my point.
Exactly. Thanks so much. And I believe it's one of the most detailed explanation of how you guys running the marketing. And thank you so much for sharing all these golden nuggets and experience and knowledge with us. That was amazing. Pavel, well, folks, I'm sure that you're enjoying this conversation as much as I do. Just have a couple of more questions for my speaker today. Yeah, we'll be wrapping up right after this one. But let me ask you this. Let's say we've started this pretty new, and let's say because most of our teams are really start small teams, and remember the days that you have one job at a time and then you scale with the systems
With the
and
people.
exactly, yes. What would be the best piece of advice? What's your best advice to someone who's just starting out, who wants to grow a real company, not just self-employed? What would be your advice to these people right now?
Uh, what I've learned through the years, is that consistency is the key to success. The thing is, I don't think that I'm successful because I decided to finish basements. Okay. I decided to finish basements because I liked it. It was interesting for me. And that's what I decided. But I'm successful not because I'm finishing basements, not because of the automations, not because of the people are higher. I mean, honestly, like, people who work here, they are probably the number one reason for success. Okay, but after this, it is a consistency of their leader, of the person who started the company. So just stick to what you like doing. So you already own your business, right? You already whether you're self-employed or whether it's an LLC or whatever it is, but you already do something that apparently you like, because you didn't just went to look for a job, or you had a full-time job and you just decided, okay, I just want to quit and I just want to start something on my own. So it means that you kind of made a decision and you kind of know what you want to do, right? So next, just make sure that don't get lost, in a way, while don't get lost in the process. Just try to make sure you keep on doing what you like doing, and be consistent. Just try, and it's a golden rule, like a 1%, the power of compounding. Even if you're going to do 1% better every 10 days, I mean, so that's pretty much it. So just be consistent, and try to, if you decided you're gonna do bathrooms, just try to only do bathrooms. Don't like this, don't try it out, and then 3 months later decide, okay, I actually gonna be a flooring company, and then 4 months later I actually gonna be a vendor. I'm gonna be selling, I'm gonna be selling something, or so consistency. And if you ask me, if you think that I did not hate at certain points of my career. I mean, if I didn't hate what I was doing, I mean, I was in a crazy situations. We decided to try to go do some general contracting for the commercial for the large developer, and we just got. I mean, I'll be honest with you, 2016. I haven't been on the job site by then. Maybe 2017. I haven't been on the job site by then by about 2 years. I had project managers, and if I would go on the job site once per project, and I haven't hold the hammer in 2017 by maybe 3 or 4 years. We got this job, and we just got ourselves in such a trouble. I was basically, my guys were working out there during the day, and I myself was coming out there at 8 p.m. with a couple of guys, and I was working through the night, and then during the day I was also doing my regular job. So did I hate myself for taking this? When I was doing it at 5 a.m., sanding the floor that somebody poured poorly. Yes, I hated myself, but I've learned a lesson, and I've learned, okay, listen, I have this expertise in home remodeling and in basements that I built. By that time, I was doing only basements, maybe for 2-3 years only. But I'm looking back, okay, listen, I have this expertise. Why do I need to try and get an expertise? It's construction, but it's different. It's the same thing. You're an ear doctor, or you're some other kind of doctor. Two different things. If you know about ears, you doesn't necessarily know about about the guts. Same thing here. If I know about basements, it doesn't mean I know how to do certain things that general contractors in commercial and multifamily fields do, and the other way around. So use your expertise, grow your expertise, be consistent, and don't give up.
Thank you so much. This is one of the most valuable moments of this speech, and thank you so much for this one. Well, just one last question. Sometimes in our show, I know that was a B2B talk, but sometimes we also have some customers tuning in, and they're looking for information for basement remodeling. They came across with this, and then they might be interested in working with you in the area. Of course, you'll be doing this nationwide, so our content is going to be nationwide. But if there's someone in the DMV area and looking for basement remodeling, what do you do for them? And what's the real benefit of working with basementremodeling.com for these prospects today?
You should not ask me this question because we're not going to finish this podcast.
Yeah, let's go.
Listen, I mean, I'll tell you this. I'll just start with this. On our social media, we promote ourselves. So basement remodeling is the brand, but on our social media and just internally, even our group, even our iMessage group for the company, where we just saying happy birthday to everyone and stuff. So it's called Basement Nerds. Okay. And if you ask ChatGPT what is Basement Nerds, it's going to tell you it's basically a team of people who are passionate about everything basements. Okay, so if you ask me why would you hire basementremodeling.com, because you are simply hiring the team of people who has more expertise in this field than any other company. I can't vouch. I mean, absolutely 100% in DMV. But I just know how many basements we finish. I know how many basements other basement companies finish. But I would say I'll say top 3 experts in the country. What it means is and it's not just about doing the work or anything. It starts with everything. It starts with putting the proposal the way where your change orders will never exceed more than 3-4%. And it's only going to be if you ask for it. Will not exceed 3-4% of your initial contract amount. It's knowing that you're going to know, it's knowing before you start. It's about setting proper expectations, at every step of the way, from the salesperson to our pre-construction meeting, and just going through all of those hundreds of checklists that we've built. and that are now like built into the automations and stuff. It's basically knowing that behind our project managers, our senior project manager been with us since 2013. And he still goes out there and sees basements. I don't see I haven't seen basements like for many years myself in terms of like going out there, unless there is like really something really interesting or complex. But our senior project manager is the person who's been seeing basements every day.
Every day, folks. Listen, nothing else.
Since 2013. It's like, so, and he has seen the amount of basements he has been involved with is over 1,000. Our salesperson, our lead salesperson, Eric Campbell, he's been a project manager for 3 years. He finished 300 basements himself. He managed 300 basements himself before he started going out. And right now he's looking at 300 to 400 basements a year. Okay. Just, because like I said, they're selling about 30% of them. So it's the expertise, and the funny part is that we are also a very well-established company. And if we're going to compare our price to the companies who basically have the same brand presence in the DMV, but not specialize in basements and who can provide similar customer service, very simple, because they don't specialize, they don't have the efficiency build. We know that their price is usually 20% more. Okay, it's anywhere between 20 and 50% more than us. And then, obviously a small one-man operation, they can outbid us here and there. And sometimes they come in at the same price. But you have to understand, it's not just this, when you finish your basement, especially if it's a finished basement, like, in the 1960s, you don't see what's going on. You remove those walls. And if you have a person who finished like 3 basements a year, and he may not even be there himself, one of his guys going to be there for demolition, there will be a crack in the wall. If it's going to be our company, I know for a fact there will be at least 4 or 5 people who's going to go to this job, before we're going to close up the drywall, who has an expertise and who, not just an expertise, who has the passion for it, and who will tell the project manager or anyone else that, like, listen, this is not looking good. You have to look at this. You should not finish your basement right now because of this crack here. We should do an epoxy injections, or we should do carbon fiber repair, or we should do a French drain. And, and that's one example. Another example, the inspections and permits. When it comes to basements, it's very different from upstairs because it's considered a new space within an existing structure. It's more complex. I mean, you have to understand, we carry our mechanical, electrical, plumbing licenses, and as well as general contracting licenses. Our company not personally, but our company pulls over 400 permits a year for basements only. And each basement needs about 8 inspections. So, you do your math, 110 basements, we pass about 880 inspections a year. And Dennis, we still fail inspections. You know why? Because there are different inspectors. There are new regular, and like one of the questions was mentioning that you work with across 20 different counties. It is absolutely crazy. But every county in Maryland, Virginia, and DC itself have different regulations. They go by different codes. They ask and look for different things during the inspections, during the permits review process. You're going to have a guy who went out there and he gave you a price, but last time he did a basement in your locality, in, let's say, Howard County was a year ago, or like the last time he did a basement in Montgomery County. Things has changed. Like, the things that they wanted us to do a year ago is different from what they want us to do. And what's going to happen? He gave you a price. It's really tight. He's like out there, he fails inspection, and he already sees, okay, like, I'm basically at the point of like, if I'm not going to charge this $3,000 more for this test that just came up because of the inspector, I'm going to start like, either not making money, or I'm going to start losing money. And what happens? It's not like, the tension rises. The guy still has to be there in your house for another 4 or 5 weeks. But, when you have a guy who is working at your home, who is not making money, you may be happy that you hired somebody cheap, but you're not going to be happy because, he's going to be annoyed because he knows he's not making money. He's going to start cutting corners. You guys going to start fighting. And in the end, yes, you did try to save $10,000. In the end, you save $4,000 because he still hit you with $6,000 more in change orders. And your process was horrible, you exhausted, you're drained, and that's pretty much what it is. So like and I can like just keep on talking. Like, this is just a couple examples.
No. This is so amazing to see how many, at least just looking at the permits point, I was sold over there. I was already sold over there when you talk about the permits, some of the permits that you got, and saying that you're still failing. And folks, we are talking about a company who doesn't really make 3 basements in 1 year. You need someone who sees 3 basements in 3 hours, or maybe in a day. I don't know, but
in a day, 3 hours a day, 3 hours a day. 3 basements a day, like 2 basements a day. That's how many basements our salespersons, salesperson see. Yeah.
That was amazing. And well, I cannot thank you enough for your participation today. That was an amazing talk. And I'm sure all other listeners today, even a little bit of the prospects at the end, if you even catch them, I'm sure the actual value comes from like real world-class people like you sharing the things that they learned with us. And thank you so much for joining me today.
All right. Thank you so much, Dennis. Thanks a lot.
Perfect. That was
a pleasure.
Yeah, of course. That was another episode of Remodeling Success Podcast. We're going to see you next time. Goodbye.
If you would like to generate more leads, please visit rtamarketing.com to get a copy of the book, Remodel Your Digital Marketing, an integrated online marketing guide for kitchen and bath remodelers. This has been another episode of the Remodeler Success Podcast. Thanks for listening.